Hey everybody, Chris here. It's Dogecoin decision time. What do I mean by that? I'm going to talk about that in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when the new videos come out, as well as when I do live streams. And my live streams are just about every day in the afternoons, my time here in Boston where I am. Always a good time, and I know it's finances, right? And you get your money wrapped up, and some people are stressed about it, looking forward, like what's going to happen? This really isn't October yet, it's over. People are saying it, and I'm just like, hey, we still have about 2 more weeks left in October. We don't know what's going to happen yet. Kind of wrapped up with this U.S. government shutdown, which is causing some unease in the financial markets. Markets don't like uncertainty. We got to wait and see what happens. But Dogecoin had a little pump this morning. I'll show you that as well and what the overall picture is. So let's get into it. Let me show you the charts and the news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. And we start here looking at the current Dogecoin chart at 19.4 cents. This is our little pump here. We finally got over 19 cents. This is what we were looking at as resistance during yesterday's live stream, as well as the day before. We were trying to get up to 19, but Doge has finally made it. A little bit of a pump this morning, came up to about 19.6, 19.65, and then a little pushback. But Bitcoin as well. A little bit on Bitcoin. Bitcoin 108,000 acting as resistance now for Bitcoin. But you see, Bitcoin's only up 0.5% and Dogecoin up 2.5%. Again, whenever there's green candles, right? Dogecoin does outperform Bitcoin. We're waiting for the big one, right? And is that going to come right now? CoinDesk is like, look, Doge finds support after tariff-led sell-off. Market awaits next catalyst. Well, first of all, this is CoinDesk, right? And CoinDesk is not going to talk bad about Binance, right? They're just not going to do it because this wasn't a tariff-led sell-off. No, it was totally manipulated, as we covered last week. Totally manipulated, take out all that leverage, and Binance was also going after Hyperliquid, I believe. We talked about that. If you have any more questions about my thoughts on that, well, just watch my previous videos, especially last Sunday's live stream where we got into a lot of that. But you can always ask during the next live stream too. I don't mind talking about it, but right now we want to see this decision time and what is going to happen now. Yes, there are macro jitters, right? There's reports of whale liquidations. Well, those whale liquidations are the manipulation of the market still, right? They're going to drop the price. They're going to take out the longs, and then this morning's pump. What do you think it was, right? What do you think this morning's pump did, right? It took out a bunch of shorts, right? And the game continues. Longs and shorts, longs and shorts. While there's low liquidity, not a lot going on, the market makers are going to do this. And us retail traders, we're just holding on, right? What are we going to do about this? Well, look at zero, right? There's a massive divide on the timeline right now. I get it. Bulls loading on the dip. Bears are hedging for the apocalypse, right? Half the crowd is stabling at every bounce, swearing the bear is already here. The other half is treating this like a routine shakeout and then deploying with conviction. So who's right? Well, nobody really knows. There's no universal strategy. Everybody plays their own hand. But zero here, it's like buying the dips, keeping a fat stack of stables ready. And Bitcoin, he's saying, look, $100,000 Bitcoin is my line in the sand. No leverage, right? No hero trades. If we break below and the market structure shifts, I'll sell the relief bounces post-invalidation. But if we hold, hey, then it's clear skies, $150,000 by the end of the year. It becomes a real conversation. Whatever you choose consciously, have a plan. Don't be left on the sidelines if we rip. Don't round trip your gains if we nuke. This is what we're going to be watching over the next couple of months. And here's his chart showing, look, these are this is what we're looking at, right? The line in the sand, right? We come back, retest it, move higher, and then up to 150K by the end of the year. Or do we have a fake out and move down? Interesting. Decision time, right? This is decision time on Bitcoin. Alexandra says, look, you're taking advice from people who got liquidated on crypto Twitter. These guys on crypto Twitter, man, you just have to be careful about this because, I mean, they're total moon boys, and they tell you all these great trades that they're winning on, but they don't tell you the ones they're losing on. Every once in a while, someone does. But for the most part, they're always winning, 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 winning. And you know they're losing as well, especially a week ago when we had that flash crash. You know they got wiped out, and they're just putting on a good face here on crypto Twitter, and they are continuing to show pumping. But look, she says just buy spot, wait for the right price and sell, rinse and repeat. At the bottom, right? The next bear market, we're going to be watching that. Where to buy back in. Play leverage, you win stupid prizes. So don't do it. If you're thinking long term, Bitcoin will be way higher. Solid projects will keep gaining value over time. And I mean that, solid projects here. In other words, if you're into all these memes, the meme tokens, I mean, outside of Doge, be very careful because the next bear market, they're going to get nuked back down 90%. Be very careful. But solid projects, especially what's building for Doge, is creating a solid base upon which Doge won't really bottom out again in the next bear market, I believe. But could still go down, yes. But some are saying, look, what's the real Bitcoin strategy? Of course, this is Bitcoin Magazine. You just keep buying, right? Just buy, 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 buy. Just keep buying. Because Bitcoin's not only going to go to 150K, but $1 million, right? We get these $1 million, give it a few years and it's going to be $1 million thing. So you just keep buying, right? And some people believe the same with Doge, right? I know some of you buy every day, no matter what the price, because you know Doge is going much, much higher in the future. Right now, in the short term, we have a market structure here. I mean, take out the big wick, right? Take out the big wick, and it's been a falling wedge. It's been a tough October, no doubt. Tough first half of October. But are we seeing a breakout from the falling wedge? This is typical what you would see of a diagram there, and this is what's happening. So is this starting that next big move back up? And by the end of October, we'll either be level or even in the green. Could be. Here's another view of it again. Same thing. Downward sloping resistance line. We've just broken above it. Let's go, right? Let's go. Mustache says, hey, altcoins. Did you know that before the altcoin bull run in 2020, we also saw a liquidation candle before it started? The same thing has now happened. Back in December 2020, there was a big wick that came down before the rip in altcoins. Here we just had the big wick. Interesting pattern. There was the bottom in alts, right? 2022, 2023. This is where I was collecting my altcoins, right? This is where I was buying big. And this will probably happen again, 2026, 2027, if we still follow the 4-year cycles. But we got to wait and see how the rest of this cycle plays out. But some are saying, look, there's a lot of alts that aren't going to make it. This chart perfectly illustrates why sentiment is bearish, even though Bitcoin's still above 100K, because of the alts, a basket of the top 50 alts now trading below where they were post FTX crash in 2022, that was the bottom of the bear market, right? We have the FTX crash. And now those altcoin prices per percentage, this is not market cap, this is prices. And a lot of this is because you have inflating altcoins. And I'm talking about tokens, right? Algorand, Solana, a bunch of those that I've been talking about. I mean, far, far more tokens percentage-wise than they had back in 2021 than Dogecoin, right? Solana's got twice as many. Algorand has 6 times as many tokens now. So the prices are depressed. And people are just looking, the prices. Well, and then there's some projects that got overhyped, like Fetch AI, right? Big AI thing, right? And I was always asking, what does AI have to do with crypto? I mean, a token, what does it do, right? And now we're seeing it as Fetch AI is just bleeding out lower and lower and lower, right? So yeah, there is negative sentiment, but that negative sentiment is on the backs of most alts, not Bitcoin. Now there's some Bitcoiners, right? Decision time for Bitcoin, yes. But on alts, there's even more risk. There's even more risk here. But what does that mean for Dogecoin? Well, Dogecoin's fear and greed index is up to 33. So still in fear, but now we're up near the higher end of fear, about to go into neutral. So we'll be watching for that. Trader Allen, of course, is always positive, right? Bouncing around. Since 2023, in this sort of upward expanding wedge, and of course the next move is going to be higher. That's what the pattern shows, and the RSI backs that up. We had some low RSI points, right? We had that in June, right? April. And then right before the big wick, or the big rip we had here in September leading into November 2024. Same thing September the year before in 2023, which led to a big run in early 2024. The RSI is showing that about ready to make that next RSI move up, which would be a move up in price. And what does that mean for Mags? Mags is like, hey, Doge is going to $1. Sooner than you think, it's going to $1. Now, he doesn't put much analysis behind this other than the same sort of upward sloping wedge, which doesn't really mean that's necessarily what Dogecoin is going to do. But it looks good on the chart. And you look at Doge since 2023, people are getting depressed about Doge, but look, the price has been consistently going higher and higher, as I've been showing. Higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. With each dip, it's a higher low. Yeah, we had the wick that came down, right? And we talked about that wick. That was invalidated, I believe, because of the low liquidity on Binance. Totally manipulated drop in the price. But hey, that's just me. Dogecoin's third cycle is being prepared. History doesn't repeat itself, but it continues its rhythm. This time, the difference is the timing. Here we were in 2017. We were at that decision point in 2017 before a big rip. Here we were near the end of 2020, going into early 2021 with a decision point before a big rip. And here we are again now. Here's our upward wedge, right? Upward wedge. We're at that decision point right there. What's the next move? So decision time for the third big run for Dogecoin is upon us. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Is this little bitty rip that we had this morning just a sign of something much bigger coming? Or are you bearish and you're preparing for the worst? Let me know. Give the video a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.